the grape is a very special uh,
Fruit.
fruit,
Yeah.
berry.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. According to the Torah, one of the things that we're doing here is that we are elevating certain things, certain material things that exist in our world, right? Um, its spiritual essence was tainted by certain events that happened in the past, in the first story, the story of all stories, right? Adam and Eve and the serpent. Okay, and so when that happens, we have to when something in this world is used to go against God's will, right, in a very fundamental way,
Yeah.
the only way to fix it is to use that same thing to serve God. That's what we mean by elevating the world. Okay, really, we have to do that with the entire physical universe, right? But with certain things specifically, they have special status. So the grape uh, is all over the Torah, right? There are specific rules that God writes about that, concerning the grape, and it has to be used in a certain way. It has to be done with a blessing. We use it uh, to sanctify the Sabbath and all this kind of stuff. So why? Well, because they're part of the fruit, the forbidden fruit, which is a very complicated fruit. Okay, there are aspects. This fruit, aside from being some kind of like spiritual reality, right? It it is the like origin of certain fundamental produce that are very important to mankind. Okay, so one of them was the grape. So if you think, just picture like this: the forbidden fruit. It wasn't an apple at all. Okay, it was like, if you could picture some kind of like strange hybrid of a grape, of wheat, okay, of a fig, and there's a couple of other possibilities. Was it a citron? I'm not sure, but there are several species and which are associated with the forbidden fruit. Okay, so if you can understand that the grape and wheat,
Yeah.
those are two fundamental things that are used in many religious rituals in the Torah, and it actually, the whole world understands that there are special things that are done with the grape and with bread, right? It's spread to other religions too. Eventually, like I know that that part of certain Catholic services where they drink wine, which symbolizes something that is a little it's a little bit
Yeah.
intense, the blood of their
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever, that kind of stuff, where that the origins of that are Greek and Gnostic, but still the ancient world was familiar with the idea of using grape and of using bread in their
Yeah.
rituals. And in the pagan world, they used it in a really bad way. Okay, so those things, and the origin of this, the origin of the misuse of these substances, are the eating of the forbidden fruit. Okay, so we have to use them to serve God instead of going against his will. So now, how much more so with grapes that grow in Israel, the Holy Land, that literally are birthed from the Holy Land itself. That's like a special level of grape, and that's what you are trying to sell. You're a part of this rectification of the world. Do you understand? So you're going to get a lot of spiritual interference, because
I, th- I think
when
I'm
you're
getting
trying,
spiritual interference the way I'm trying to sell it because other people are selling it to success.
that's just details.
No, but meaning they're not getting any that much interference. They're not. I am.
No, but there's something different about you that I noticed, that the spiritual part of what you're doing
Yeah.
is what inspired you to get into this.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Look, folks, neither one of us is a saint as far as I know. Or maybe I should just speak for myself. We have all the problems that the average person has and all the and all that kind of stuff. But we have some sincerity in what we're trying in our faith and what we're trying to do. And in a lot of ways, when you have somebody who has some spiritual or religious sincerity, maybe those of you listening who are like this, you kind of get the sense that the rest of the people that they see you as naive. You understand? You're kind of you're viewed perhaps as one of the more naive people in your sphere of influence or your circle, your family, your friends, and all that kind of stuff. So Greg is a person who is sincere in his emotions, in the way he feels about the Torah, about the land of Israel, about God. It's something that is not. It's not a business thing. Okay, it's kind of like something. It's an inspiring. It's a thing that he came into with kind of like a religious kind of naive view, that where he can be involved in this spiritual task, and God will bless him and with a living.
Well, can I say he did in some ways, but the naivete was also in thinking that.
I'm not saying it actually is naive. I'm just saying it can be perceived that way.
Listen to the naive part. The naive part was me thinking that the other people who were bringing wine from places like Beit El, not the winemakers. I'm talking about the people bringing it into the country. Places like Beit El and Shiloh and Har Bracha and then Hebron and all these kind of places would have the same mentality, either about how they're going to market it, or just be honest.
Okay.
In business.
I have to stop you.
No, this is not the case.
Don't continue.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's what makes you different.
I know.
And it's your sincerity which causes the forces of darkness to fight you harder than those guys.
I get what you're saying. What I'm trying to say is that what I'm trying to say to those guys, if they're listening, if you're out there listening, we could have been a team. We can still be a team. We can have our businesses, our own, whatever. But with our powers combined, we're freaking Captain Planet. And my naivete was thinking that we could be Captain Planet, but we can't.
It's not going to happen the way you want it to happen, Greg.
Exactly. No, it's not that I want it. I assumed. Whatever.
No. What seems logical, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Look,
folks, here's my version of it. When I was going to, after I left high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go and study Torah, right? And I saw these like opportunities. You go to certain institutions, you can get college credit. You can study in yeshiva, and it could be some of these institutions, they can give you like credit towards some university that you go to like eventually, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. It seemed like what could go wrong? It made sense. I'll study Torah, I'll gain, let's say, at least half my college credits, and then when it comes time to go and like choose a career, I'll be well on my way, and my parents won't be upset at me for wasting my time in yeshiva, where I could have gone directly to college and been well on my way towards a career. It makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like taking care of two birds with one stone. You're doing a holy thing. You're studying the Torah, but it's also you can use it eventually towards some benefit that your mother will be happy about.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a horrific disaster. And you wonder why couldn't God bless this? What was wrong with this? Yeah. So the point is, there's no answer to that.
Yeah.
But the stuff that seems like it should make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't work out that way.
Can I just say one?
No guarantee that's going to work.
Can I just say one thing? And I'm saying it because it's actually a fact, but also that I want to not what is it called? I don't want God to be completely pissed at me, because throughout this whole process, despite everything we just said, and despite what you just said, there have been so many moments of you could literally see God's hand in it. So many moments, events that we've had, this, that, the other. We call it in Hebrew siyata deshmaya. I mean, it's in Aramaic, really.
Yeah, but
And
yeah.
this is what has kept me going. And I want to say one other thing.
Yeah.
One small example. I'm at a wine event. This is way back in the beginning, and this is like some winemakers from Israel came to this giant event, and I come up to him and I go, and he's a winemaker. I'm not going to say which winery. I'm just going to say he's in Judea and Samaria. Because there's like 15 of them, so you don't know who it is. And I said, hey man, and I came up to him, and I tried to present it in perspective of not from a religious standpoint. I actually wanted this to happen from a standpoint of because people in France and Spain and Portugal are doing the same thing. What are they doing? They have events for wineries from particular regions of the country. And I said, hey, man, why don't you guys do a Judean Samaria wine thing? He goes, I don't understand what the point of it. If you're saying you just want to have a barbecue, we could do that. But I don't understand what the point of having this. And besides, we don't really get along so well. Those guys actually don't get along so well. Some of them do, some of them don't. And I'm standing there and I'm just like, there's like crickets in my brain. I'm just like,
so much.
You're probably kidding.
It's probably true that so much of business,
Holy
right? And the reason why certain things,
I know,
because
the guys don't get along. I know.
No, it's because of the people who are there are jerks who don't get along.
Sure.
Okay. And it has nothing to do with actual business.
But when he told me that, I thought to myself, here we are. This was the year like 2016, 17. And I'm thinking to myself, there's all this stuff in the media about Judea and Samaria. You would think that of all the people that would unite, it'd be the people, the people they call the settlers, right? These winemakers. And I realized these guys have huge egos. They're nuts. And I mean this with the greatest, Jackie Mason said, the great respect, with all the love in the world. But they are nuts. And some of them can't work with each other. Some of them can, some of them can't. And that's the way it is. Anywhere you go. And then I realized, Judea and Samaria is just like any other place. Human beings are there. Some of them can work together. Some of them can't.
It is not.
There's people who live right next to each other that can't even work together.
Yeah.
Who get pissed at each other. And this guy's borrowed this guy's machsan, warehouse. And he didn't take his wine out in time. And he's pissed at him. And he's pissed at me for working with him. And I'm like.
Folks, some non-Jews who, let's say, aren't completely riddled with like this rabid hate for Jews, right?
Yeah.
So those who don't hate the Jews, right? Their non-hatred allows them to be clear-minded enough to notice some things about the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get along very well.
Some of us.
A lot.
Yeah.
So the explanation for that, and this is not an excuse. We're not making excuses. We know it's bad and it has to change. It has to stop. But it's a lot like a family.
Yeah.
Like Jews, even when they hate each other, they're still close. You understand? Sometimes the people that you are closest to, right? You feel like you hate their guts passionately. But that passion you hate their guts with is because you're close to them spiritually. You understand? There's a closeness there. Something went wrong. But the level of like anger that you feel and resentment and all that kind of stuff, the more intense, the more closeness there is.
Yeah,
okay?
It's like that theory of why do all these what is it, Serbia and Croatia? Why do these countries fight? Same thing. Arabs and Jews also. It's like what is it? They call it the theory of closeness or something like that, or similarness.
I don't know if I'll agree with that fully, but
I mean,
we'll get to that.
It's something that's posited. Yeah.
So when it comes to Jews, it's really the question is, are they going to get along? Like, guys, any guy who's listening to this, who's married, and you don't want to get into a situation where your wife meets your friend's wife. You want to minimize those situations as much as you can, because it's a huge, you're really rolling the dice. You understand?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in my view, it's better, that you keep your friends and she stays with her friends. Her friends should be female. Your friends should be male.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't have to, create play dates for the spouses. Okay. It's not a good idea. So there's always a risk that there's going to be a clash. You know, I
Yeah.
get very anxious whenever there's a situation where I know my let's say my friend's wife is going to meet another friend's wife, and you know I'm anxious. It's no fun. You know, like that's kind of how it is when Jews are put in together in the same in a closed space. It's like
Yeah.
that because there's a lot. I'm not explaining this well.
Yeah.
But because there's a powerful connection, if it
Yeah.
goes wrong,
Yeah.
it goes really
It
wrong.
goes very, very wrong. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it's like, and especially on the land of Israel.
Yeah. Oh, it's yeah, it's crazy.
So
It's a very small country, dude. I
more
mean,
of
I mean, it's funny. Like, I'm going to Israel. I booked a ticket, and I'm gonna go to this thing called Sommelier. You know, like it's a wine. It's like the biggest wine event in Israel with all the wineries and from all around Israel, Judea and Samaria, Israel proper, whatever, north, south, east, west. And on the one hand, I'm very excited. On the other hand, I'm like, you know, man, some of these guys. I have guys come up to me, and you know, you have your name tags. And so in the beginning, I used to have the LLC name, which is West Bank Wines. And all these guys from Tel Aviv, the Tel Aviv wine maven guys, used to come up to me. You should take off that tag. Old leftists, you know. I remember like hanging out one time with this Yemenite guy who makes wine, who's a friend of mine, and we're talking. Literally, I'm just like, you know, in the words of you know, Eddie Murphy, mind my own business. You know,
folks, he means a Jewish guy from Yemen.
Yes,
whose
yes,
original
yes,
came
yes.
from Yemen.
Same money, yeah. Yemenite guys. So we're standing talking, mind my own business. And then this old leftist, and then he just take off the tag. And then the Yemenite guy's like, oh, don't pay attention to him. He's an old lefty fool. Once a fool, always a fool. Da, da, da. He knew the guy from the industry or whatever. And I'm like, people give me looks, and I'm like, what the? So then that's like half the room, half the convention center. And then I pass by some of these guys. You know, folks, you don't know this, but I think it's like 30% of the wineries in Israel are not kosher, right? And I remember coming up to this one table, and I'm not gonna say the name of the winery, but I asked the guy, I'm like, "Are you guys kosher?" And the guy goes to me, proudly no, proudly. Some of the guys say, unfortunately, no. You know, I would love for you to taste, whatever. They're respectful. This guy's like proud. He's stuck it in my face, saying proudly no. And I guarantee you, today after the October 7th thing, this guy's probably, you know, doing reserves in Gaza, and he's together in the same unit with guys who were working in the Judea and Samaria wineries. Which, by the way, those wineries, folks, they need a lot of help. If anybody able-bodied, and if you like working with wine and you like wine, and you're going to go to Israel, even for a week or two, volunteer on a winery, because there's guys, you know, they just have their Thai and Filipino workers. Some of those guys even left. So a lot of wineries are short-staffed.